What's up? Welcome back to another episode of the MindShare Podcast. I'm David Greenspan, and this is episode number 370. Now, this one, it's not a how-to, it's not a framework episode, and it's not a hype episode. In fact, I'm about to moderate a room full of high-level top producers, let's call them, and I built a set of questions for this dinner that I'm going to be hosting. Well, I'm not hosting, but I'm moderating. And these questions don't let people hide behind like the idea of like busyness or the idea behind, brand or technology or even, a bad market. And as I was doing this, I realized something. These questions aren't just for that room. They're for you right now. See, the hype of the new year is gone. January is in full effect. I mean, January is pretty much done. And the first few weeks of the year really exposed what was real and what was excitement. What was real behind what you do, how you do it, what's going on out there in the market, and like what was just that hype, that amped up feeling inside of us. And right now, a lot of people are in that quiet spot where they're still moving, but it's kind of starting to drag. So today isn't about giving you more answers. Instead, it's really, here, what I want to do, I want to hand you a mirror. And in fact, I'll even be that mirror. And oftentimes, for those of you that work with me through our coaching, you know that this mirror talks back. But I will say this. If one of the questions that I ask you today starts to bother you, starts to really make you think, starts to irritate you, if it hits a nerve, makes you, want to even fast forward the episode, good. That's the point. So let's get into it. Now, I want to start by really posing this question, right? Toys R Us hates Amazon. Taxis hate Uber. Blockbuster hates Netflix. 10 years from now, how is real estate actually going to get done? And who is the real estate industry going to hate? Think about that one. See, people think the threat is some new app or it's AI. And in some respect, like it totally is, right? But I'd say that those are more the outcomes than the actual threats. Think about this. The real threat. Who controls attention? Who controls the customer relationship? And who controls the source of the lead? See, isn't that always the game? I mean, there's the whole thing about building more mindshare. Plus, the other threat we really got to think about, which I did bring up just a moment ago and say, you think it might be an app, you think it might be AI, but the reality is, and let's ask ourselves this, how far are we going to, train technology to go? Not just allow it to go, but actually train it to go. Based on our own dependence of it. See, the more we use AI, the smarter the AI gets. And we sit around talking about the fact that, this could tear us down. This could change everything. People could do it on their own. Well, again, the more we empower it, the more we're actually providing the space for it. And nobody really realizes this. It's like when you go back to this idea that, Elon Musk or China or whoever are building like millions of robots, these AI-powered robots. What, one day these robots are not just going to kind of like start taking over or be like, a sector within the military? A platoon, the robot platoon, and I know, Dave, whoa, buddy, you wearing a tin cap or something? You're going down a rabbit hole? No, I'm just being realistic. Think about the smartphone. Think about how we'd evolved from a cell phone to a, ability to, do email on the BlackBerry to the iPhone, and now all of a sudden what a phone looks like these days. It's no longer what it used to look like. That's evolution. And I will argue till the cows come home that these smartphones have made us stupider. They've actually made it worse. They've actually put us in a position where our children, the youth, are so addicted to this thing, I don't even think they could think for themselves anymore. Anyhow, back to this point, and again, that's us allowing it. Through our own usage, through our own adoption, through our own mechanisms, through our own desire to make things simple. See, in every disrupted industry, the incumbents don't get replaced because they're useless. Right? We used to love going to Blockbuster to find a movie. It was a nice thing to do, and you'd even get a little bag of popcorn while you're there. They weren't useless. See, but instead they get replaced because, well, let's think about it. Totally disorganized. They're fractured. They're slow. Maybe they spend more time fighting with each other than reinforcing the value to the customer. Real estate industry. You see, if real estate ends up hating anyone or any tech in the next 10 years, it's not because the technology was evil. Because the technology decided, oh, we're going to take over. It's because we set up the technology to find the weakest link. And humans, it's a biological thing to go for the path of least resistance. We try to find the easiest route in something, and that's not a problem. That's actually a good thing. It means we're problem solvers. We look for solutions. We look for ways to make things easier for ourselves. And again, not a bad thing. But in doing that right now, we're actually enabling the technology. We're actually providing a path for it to start to win the relationship, generate the leads, provide the substance and the value to others. So when we think about the weakest link, agents who don't actually follow up with people, agents who don't work their relationships, agents who don't want to do the work at all, and instead look to an app or look to an automation or some bright shiny object, but yet still want to get paid. How about brokerages? Brokerages, and I've talked about this with standards. They don't build the right standards. They don't reinforce realities of how the business is supposed to get done. Instead, they just allow these bright shiny objects to take over because it's trending. Associations. The arguing internally. The trust eroding within the public. And then them too bringing new bright shiny objects to their stages because, again, it's a trending topic. Rather than bringing the right solution and the right learning. See, whenever you get somebody in a leadership role that is putting on some sort of event or something and they're going after the trend, they're going after people really want to learn about. Listen, that's a great thing. But at the end of the day, we've got to think to ourselves right now, what is our goal? Well, our goal is more productivity. And whether you're at the brand level, whether you are at the brokerage level, whether you are at the agent level, everybody wants more productivity. So those are the solutions that need to be brought forward. Not how can you automate your business and separate you more from the people that are around you? How can you make technology take over and win the relationship? How can you, allow it to start doing the job for you? When this happens, and we're not bringing the right solutions for learning, again, we're not saving the industry. We're actually putting the industry more at risk. And when you think about weakest link as well, and it's part of the weak link here is that here's a profession that acts surprised when people look elsewhere. Think about this. People already believe that agents make too much money. And there's a lot of agents that just make too much money. And I'm not saying because they work hard or they just make a lot of money. I'm saying there's people that just are not very good at this business whatsoever that somehow make money. And then with all this technology that agents try to embrace, why in the world would people believe that homeowners aren't doing the same? People are finding solutions. People are finding the path of least resistance. People are finding ways to leverage AI to help them buy and sell a home. I actually even thought about writing a guide that would give homeowners the exact step to sell their home using specific AI prompts. I think people are already smart enough to know they can do this, but like everyone else, most people are lazy. So a guide like this would for sure sell, especially if it cost a fraction of a commission. And let's be honest here. It is totally possible. And yes, I know. In fact, I hope you have a list of reasons why they shouldn't. But if you're embracing technology to help you evolve, don't be surprised when other people do it too. And in the end, where does that leave you? And again, whose fault was it really? And look, I'll say it bluntly. I always say it bluntly, but if you're relying on the market to save you, if you're relying on your brokerage to save you, if you're relying on your brand to save you, straight up, that's exactly how disruption wins. See, our job isn't to predict the future perfectly. Our job, is not to be the easiest person to replace. So here's what I want you to think about right now. And maybe an action step, we'll call it. And if you're driving, don't do this now. But I want you to make a note of this. Write down one thing you do that an app or AI can't replace easily. Then ask yourself, do clients actually see that consistently from me? Or is that just like in my head that that's what I do? Okay, so again, I'll give that to you one more time. Write down one thing that you do that an AI or a technology can't replicate, and ask yourself if your clients actually see it consistently from you, or if, again, you just think you do it. Now, at this level, and I'm going to keep asking you some questions to provoke you today, okay? So we'll keep moving here, but let's talk about what happens if standards start to, or what standards actually cheapen this industry, cheapen this profession. As I started to say that at this level, and there's the question for you, what standard in this industry frustrates you most? Not because it hurts, the public or but I'm talking like literally because it cheapens the profession. And you could be thinking stuff like, they got to change the way licensing gets done. They got to change, the teaching of the licensing, the cost. Maybe they got to make it more expensive. They got to change the way the associations are running. Now, this is a moment where, like, if you truly care, you're potentially getting angry. You're potentially thinking to yourself, wait a second, you know what? This really bothers me. This really pisses me off. And not because you're like, a saint or something. We all make mistakes. But because this is a long game. And we can feel that there's shifts in the industry happening. Now, the one thing we got to remember, too, is that, the public doesn't understand our internal politics. They don't read board updates. They don't know who does what. They just feel the vibe, right? They can tell what's going on, especially when it starts hitting mainstream news, which we know that the recent industry has been very much in the mainstream news a lot lately, and not for the good. Now, the thing is, when standards start to slide in the industry, and again, we've talked about standards a lot, that vibe out there, right, gets weird. And again, when we come back to the tech, it starts to get people thinking, maybe I could do this on my own. And this whole idea of like cheapening the industry and like what's happening, it doesn't happen, like some big wow. I mean, yeah, the RICO stuff was a wow. But outside of that, it's just this kind of slow drip, right? It's kind of like a, I don't know, if you want to call it like how rivers are formed, right? They start with a drip, then they become a stream. They start to kind of erode the land a little bit. And all of a sudden, you got this river running through. And then next thing you know, the river gets bigger and bigger over the time where it just starts to eat away at the land. But it takes time. It doesn't happen, right? So when you think about this and you think about what could this be? I mean, people winging things where they should be like really knowledgeable, just kind of like doing it randomly. Well, again, clients see that. Or people treating this job like a part-time job, and there's a ton of people doing that. Or it's like some side hustle where they're just kind of making some commission, but they demand full commission. Or how about communication? Like we're talking shitty, almost non-existent communication. You know it and I know it. How many people don't pick up their phone in this industry? Don't even call back. Horrible. What is this? That's not professional. Or how about here? I'll give you another one. People who don't prepare. People who don't follow through. People who don't act like they care. And you got all these other people who think they're so important. Oh yeah, I'll get to it. Like you're the Don Juan, like this so important person that you're the most important person in the world. Look, it's okay to be the most important person in your world, But when you're dealing with other people, especially representing other people, representing yourself and representing an industry, we got to be at the top of our game here. Because again, that's how more business comes. But the scary part is, like, how many people just normalize this stuff? Yeah, I was busy. I know I didn't call them back, whatever, I didn't want to get to them, right? I've done it a million times. I don't need to prepare. Like, the thing here, too, is when people normalize it, it's not even that they necessarily agree, but most people would rather just not say anything so that they don't ruffle feathers with people. But like when you're seeing this with others, it's important to take note of it. And whether you want to get into the friction or battle with somebody about what they're doing or what they're not doing, I can understand not wanting to fight. But in the same breath, too, if we don't talk about this stuff, if we don't acknowledge this stuff, does it ever change? Does it ever get better? Or does it just continue to get worse? So here's an action step for you again here. I want you to think about one standard that you wish the industry enforced. One. And then I want you to enforce it in your own business so hard that clients notice. Just like I said before, right? Are you actually doing it out loud? Do people see it, or is it just in your head? Same thing here. What is it for you that really, really bothers you? And what are you going to do to change it for you? You don't need to post about it. You don't need to show it. You don't need to talk about it. You don't need to make an announcement or send an email or write a blog or anything else like that. I just want you to think for yourself, what is something that really bothers you that you see as kind of normal in this industry? And what are you going to do to change it and enforce it in your own business so that your clients really take stock of the difference? Again, well, what are we doing right now? We're trying to make you stand out. We're trying to help you build more positive mind share so you get the market share. And you're not going to be able to impact and change what your competition does and what your colleagues do and what leadership does, but you can certainly change what the person in the mirror does and how you show up every day. So think about it. What's the one thing that really pisses you off that you're going to do your very best to make sure you don't do? Now, in fact, I'm going to keep going with that because never mind just standards, but let's talk behavior. And I'll ask you, what behavior from other agents frustrates you the most? And because, again, when they're doing it, it's lowering the bar, right? It's like, well, yeah, they do it, and I guess that's how realtors are. And you know what I'm talking about here. Again, a lot of bad apples in this business that don't do it properly, and unfortunately, it's shedding a negative cloud on everybody else that does do it properly. And the question here is, it's not so much about, you being annoyed, but more about you recognizing what's really poisoning the well. What is it that people are doing so often that's really bothering you? Again, this is not just standards now. This is behavior. See, people will judge the industry as a whole based on a unique experience they have with one. And they're not necessarily judging based on who the best are. They're judging based on what that experience was. Whatever just happened recently. So if an agent was talking to them and just all of a sudden ghosted them, or an agent comes in and says to them, like, you have to buy this place. Oh, the price is great, even though it's probably maybe a little bit high, but they just wanted to get the deal, right? Or level of service just was shit. It was garbage. When they see agents who are again, posting pure drama on social media, like I got to tell you, it's almost, again, we're at the end of January here. I've spent almost no time, and I'm talking like almost not even 30 minutes a day. We're talking like many days I didn't even go and look, and I don't think I've scrolled once so far this month. Now, I know, I tell you all the time, be part of social media, get involved in the conversation, be interested, not just interesting, so get involved, talk to people. And I'm there, and I'm having DM conversations with people, but I'm talking the scroll, the story taps. Haven't done it. I don't care for the bullshit. I don't want to see the negativity, the same monotony. And then you got a lot of agents who just post drama all day. And it's like, do you even work? Like, why are you even a realtor? Why don't you post some value? Why don't you post some good news stuff? Why don't you post some stuff that's helpful for people? I mean, again, when you think about, look, there's a mile long of list here. Okay, like an agent, just doing it for the commission as opposed to doing it for the best interest of the buyer seller. I mean, when any of this type of stuff happens, the entire industry inherits the skepticism, and that's the part that most agents don't want to accept. Your reputation is personal, but consumer trust, that's shared. That's the industry that either says, hey, consumers, I'm trustworthy. Because you could be the best. But when this entire industry is doing shady stuff and has bad behavior and the standards are non-existent, that is an umbrella statement to homeowners, hey, it may be time to look for another option than a realtor. And there are options. Let's not kid ourselves. There are options. So when certain behaviors like this, people don't call them out, people don't talk about them, it really just makes the whole industry look bad. And it makes you have to work harder to earn that trust back from people who you may have already had it from. So here, action step. First, stop debating any of this shit online. Stop. Don't be involved in the conversation. Instead, get offline and start just outperforming all of it. You see the bad stuff, you know what it is, don't be that person, and don't get involved in the politics online. If you truly want to raise the bar, if you truly want to build a client experience that makes people tell stories about you, that helps you build that positive mindshare, not just recommend you, show up for people. Seriously think about the way you operate, the way you interact, every touch point they have with you, that lasting impression they're going to think about after it's all said and done. What are they going to talk about? What was that experience? Let's take a quick sponsor break here. This episode of the MindShare Podcast is brought to you by Kit's Keep in Touch Systems, the award-winning Keep in Touch program. This is your solution to more leads and more repeat and referral business. If you sell real estate, you need Kits. And REM Real Estate Magazine, Canada's premier real estate publication for news, analysis, and commentary that actually has depth. Be sure to get connected with both of these industry-leading companies. All right. So we talked about standards. We talked about behavior. I sort of, got you maybe a little riled up thinking about this stuff. But I want to go, stay on the same path here, but ask you another question. What do you genuinely respect or admire about agents who are playing this game at a high level? And maybe they're even competitors. What do you genuinely respect or admire about agents that are playing this game at a high level? Think about that one. See, this is one of my favorite questions because it really starts to shed light on something that most people avoid saying out loud. A lot of your frustration comes from knowing what it looks like to be really good, like excellence, and from feeling how far the industry really is from it. But when you really respect someone in this business, it's rarely because, they're flashy, they drive a nice car, they wear a nice suit or whatever. It's usually because they seem just real consistent with what they're up to. They don't ever seem to be bitching and complaining, especially not in public. They seem to be totally professional. They've got high standards. They never cut in corners. They handle pressure like they're cool, they're calm, they've been there before, they know what to do, and even if they haven't, they're going to figure it out. And this one right here, for me, absolutely top of the list. They keep their word. Even if at some point it doesn't work out 100% for them or it costs them, they said they were going to do something and they do it. And you see, if you're honest, the traits that we respect in other people are really the same traits that we need to protect within ourselves. Especially when we're not feeling it. Because it's those moments when we're not feeling it, when we're in a bad mood, when things didn't go the way we want, where all of a sudden things change and we just don't show up as our best self. So an action step here. I want you to name one trait that you respect in a competitor of yours. Then ask yourself, where have I let that slide in myself over the past 90 days? Okay, I got another question for you. If we removed 20% of your daily responsibilities tomorrow, what would you secretly hope disappeared? Again, if we remove 20% of your daily responsibilities tomorrow, what would you secretly hope disappeared? Now, a lot of people think this might just be, let me, think of time management because there's just never enough time. And listen, it's very much about time management, 100%. Like time is always of the essence, and time always plays a factor in everything, especially challenges, situations, frustrations, distractions, you name it. Time is always in the mix there. But it also goes even deeper because reality is, as such, we all have the same 24 hours in a day, and there really is only so much that we can actually do, especially in today's world when we're always being pulled in a million directions. Thank you, smartphone, making us stupid. But this actually comes down to more about the emotional weight that we carry. Because the thing that we actually want gone, that we don't want to be doing, that's typically speaking what drains us the most. Could be a client that we should not have taken on. I've got a client of mine who we were talking about a listing that he's got that the seller wants it priced more than it should be, and there's a hot tub in the kitchen. Yes, you heard that right. They're overpriced and they have a hot tub in the kitchen. You tell me whether that property is going to sell the way that client wants it to, and obviously the way you as the agent want it to. Maybe we shouldn't have taken that client. But I get it. We want to take the opportunity. The listing's there. But again, you think about like what drains you. That's going to be draining. How do you explain a hot tub in the kitchen? Or here, a part of your business that you've outgrown. Think about that. What part of your business have you outgrown? Work that you do that you either hate or maybe you love, but you know that somebody else could help you with. Yet you're still doing it. Relationships, like, some that are like fine, but like just absolutely exhausting. Like, the people you talk to them, but geez, they just drain your time. They're always negative. Maybe that's something you just need to get rid of. Or how about the work that you do, the role that you play within your ecosystem? And maybe you're a solo agent, so you wear a ton of hats. Maybe you've got some folks that you work with. Maybe there's certain things you do because you just figure you're better at it, or you don't want to fight with somebody. But here's what makes this question something to think about so dangerous, okay? The answer, and when we ask the question again, if we remove 20% of your daily responsibilities tomorrow, what would you secretly hope disappeared? The answer is often something that you're choosing to keep simply because changing it would actually make you have to make a hard decision. So you keep it and you pay for it every day. So your action step here. Write down the one responsibility that you would hit delete on if you could. Then write the real reason that it's still here. See, that's the conversation you've been dodging. Okay, so again, write down that one responsibility that you would delete if you could. Then write down the real reason that it's still here. Okay, I got a couple more questions for you here still. Let's keep going. What distraction do you keep blaming that actually protects you from a harder decision? What distraction do you keep blaming that actually protects you from a harder decision? See, this one is where we separate like the adults from the teenagers. Let's call it like that, right? Because distractions aren't always random. Sometimes they're like protectors. They're like shields we put up in front of us. And it's so easy to blame things like the market and the government and blame the government for all sorts of stuff. But blaming your brokerage, blaming your board, blaming social media for existing. And I really have a problem with social media existing. Blaming the economy. Blaming your schedule and how busy you are, blaming your kids, just because whatever they're doing, or blaming just your overall stress. I'm just stressed, I can't think. And some of those, yes, they're legitimate challenges, but the deeper question here is, what decision would you have to make if those distractions weren't available as excuses? And for some people, it's walking away from something that we just know, like it's had its time. For others, it could be finally admitting that we're not running a business, we're actually surviving the business. That's not a good place to be. Or it could even be like realizing that, we've built a life that looks successful, but man, it's draining. In fact, I had a conversation with a client the other day who told me, he's having a lot of trouble focusing. Knows what he needs to be doing, but he's just not doing it. And we're working through and we're mapping out the schedule. We're mapping out the action steps, the IPAs. We're mapping out all the stuff that he's got to be doing in a day. And, it gets to his day and he's finding that he's not doing it. And this is the beauty about, the connection we create with our one-to-one clients is that, we really share with each other. We really open up. We really have some very honest, real conversations. And the more transparent those conversations are, the more we can really dig in and find solutions to problems. And in this case here, you've got a guy that has a wife and a family with kids and wants to do more. And is an amazing person, but for some reason can't seem to focus. And so when we look and say, well, why? And I said to him, why aren't you making the calls? Why aren't you focusing? And, he didn't know. He couldn't figure it out. I have no idea what's going on. I don't know why I'm not doing it. So I asked him, I said, how much time have you been on social media this week? And he kind of came back with like a general answer. I said, no. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to go into Instagram, and you can try this for yourself right now. I want you to go into Instagram, and I want you to look at your insights and your time spent. And it's going to give you a average for how many minutes you spent on there over the past 7 days. And it's going to show you how much time you spent per day over the past 7 days. So he comes back to me and he gives me this like really detailed answer about the average time and then like literally daily, like how much time he spent. And so I asked him another question. I said, okay, cool. Thank you. And it was a bunch of time, like a bunch of time, but I don't think he's some anomaly. I think most people probably waste this much time on social without even realizing it as well. So just stay with me here. So I said, okay, next question. Why don't you go back over the past 5 years? And we use all these different trackers within our program that help us understand, like, where are we seeing business from? What's happening? Where else can we go? Like, if I know which pond I should go fishing in, instead of going to this big wide ocean or to 17 different ponds, I'm going to go to the one where the fish are. Well, same idea here. When you think about where your deals come from, go back to where your deals normally come from, and let's keep going back to that well. It's not that we can't explore other ones, but we know where they are, so let's keep going, right? Anyhow, I got these trackers, and I said, go back over your past 5 years, and I want you to tell me how many deals have been a result. How many deals have been a result of you posting on social media? And he comes back, he says, oh, that's easy. None. I said, okay. Next question. How much time did you spend doing your follow-ups and prospecting this week? And he comes back with a really general, vague answer with just a number of hours that he said to me. And I went back to him. I said, bullshit. I don't believe you. See, when I asked you about social, you were detailed. When I asked you about this, you were very, very vague about it, which tells me you didn't do it. And you and I both know you didn't do it. But now let's be real. I want you to go back. I want you to go back over the past 5 years of deals, and I want you to tell me how many of your deals were a result of connecting with, following up with, what we call group one. People who know you, like you, and trust you. Call it the database. How many were the result? You said, oh, that's easy. Like, probably all of them. Ah, okay. So here's what we're going to do. We've just figured out that you're completely distracted and wasting time. You've got this big distraction, right? Remember the question I asked you. What distraction do you keep blaming that actually protects you from a harder decision? And in this case, he was just saying, I can't focus, right? So that for him was the blame. I just can't focus. I don't know why. I can't focus. I don't know why. I can't focus. I don't know why. Okay, cool. But you're going on social. Yeah, and you're spending all this time on social. Yeah, and it's not doing anything for us because we're actually not getting any deals from it, and it's actually taking us away from making the phone calls where we do get deals from. He said, yeah, perfect. There's the problem. Put the phone down. Like, just stop. Put it down. We're not going on social for the next 7 days. And he comes back to me. He's like, oh, my God. He's like, are you sure about this? Like, are you 121% sure about this? And I mean, if you're sure about it, I'll put it down. But, are you sure? And I reiterated the questions I just asked him about social and how many deals and phone calls and how many deals. And I said, yes, I'm 121% sure. Put the phone down. Now, that doesn't mean he's not going to get the urge to pick it up. That doesn't mean that he's not going to, get the urge to, to want to do it. It doesn't mean that he's not going to get distracted. Okay, but at the same time, too, this idea that social media is helping versus detracting versus holding us back versus making us lazy versus making us unproductive, we've got to change our thinking. The amount of time that people are spending on social media is toxic to your success. I'm not saying don't be there. Do not misunderstand me. Have your presence, build the MindShare. It's free. Leverage it. But get in and get out. But the problem is, for most people, because this darn phone is in everybody's hand all the time, the minute that there's a intermission between the game, or there's a commercial break, or, you're in between phone calls, or you're, sitting at your desk doing something, or you're walking, or you're sitting with family, you're having dinner. I mean, God knows anything. Those notifications pull at us like crazy. And all of a sudden, what do we see? We see notifications from other people, social media, bang. What do? We start scrolling. So this was the kicker. I said, look, that urge is going to happen. That distraction's going to try to pull at you. What you're going to do instead, though, is every single time you have that urge to pick up that phone and go for the social, keep the social closed, go make a phone call. See, we've talked about the process to changing habits, right? Trigger, action, reward. Well, the trigger is my body is innately, subconsciously going to pick up phone. The action is I pick up the phone. The reward is once I start scrolling the social media, I get that little bit of dopamine dump that I wanted. But at the end of the day, we know it's actually not a positive dopamine dump anymore. Social media has turned. It's no longer like that. It's just an overload of information. There's a lot of negativity. The algorithm's not even creative enough to show you all sorts of random stuff. It just pinpoints something and it starts showing you way too much of it. And that's messing with the subconscious. So what we did there was we tried to replace what that dopamine dump is, what that reward is at the end of picking up the phone. And in my mind, he wants to be more productive. He wants to make more money. He wants to get back to the level of success that he know he can do, which I know he can do. Then we know that he needs to do the actions that need to be done rather than the ones that are just distractions. So the distraction was pick up phone, look at social. The actual action should be pick up phone, make phone call. So we started to do this. Trigger. Gonna fidget with phone. Action. Pick up phone, make call. Reward. Have a good conversation. Reward. Leave a voicemail. Reward. Feel like you're actually productive and working towards your goals. Because if you don't put in the effort, you don't get the results. I've said it a million times before and we'll say it again. And Gretzky said it. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So if you're sitting there taking the shots, making the calls, doing the income-producing activities you need to be doing, you're going to feel the reward, that dopamine dump of, you know what, I'm doing something good. I'm working towards this. And in time, we're going to change that habit to what you do with that phone to get you back to productivity. So in this case here with, again, this particular client, lack of focus, allowing distractions to dominate, getting to the point where even, it's so subconscious and innate that we can't even control the distraction. So now we're grabbing the bull by the horns. It's going to be a little bit tough, but we're going through a process right now, a 7-day cleanse of social, so we can get back to doing the right actions. And it takes longer than 7 days. It usually takes a couple months to actually really change a habit, but you got to start somewhere. So your action step here, and finish this sentence, okay? If I stopped doing X, I'd have more time to do X. Okay, so again, if I stopped doing X, I'd have more time to do X. Fill in the X's. Then start fixing it right now. Stop holding yourself back from doing the things you know you need to do because you're doing the things you want to do. That won't get you where you want to go. Okay, one more question here. One more. I hope you're writing this stuff down. I hope you're taking this in today because you know what? These are some really, really deep questions to be asking yourself when it comes to productivity, especially coming out of the first 30 days of the year. We still got 11 months. You got lots of runway here. But it's got to start right now. Like now, not tomorrow, not in a week, not on Monday. I'll get there now. So here's the question. And if you are a long-time listener to this show, I love asking this question. How do you know, personally, know it's been a successful day for you? Don't look at your numbers. Just want to know, how do you know that it's been a successful day for you? See, this right here is the reset question. See, if your only scoreboard, is results, where you're like, well, I did this many deals or I didn't. Well, I made this much money or I didn't. That's where we start to get like emotionally unstable. We're having a good day, we're up. We're having a quiet day, we're kind of like, lost in our thoughts and starting to spiral. And, when the week is really slow, we start questioning everything. Pros don't live like that. They know there's ups and downs. They know there's going to be dark spots. They know there's going to be a bunch of losing. It just is what it is. That's the game. See, instead, their internal scoreboard, what they do, and again, this is how we operate with our coaching clients as well. Did I do what I said I would do? Like, did I actually live up to what I said I would do? So again, I tell you all the time, Monday starts on Sunday. Take 15 to 20 minutes tonight to schedule for tomorrow. I know for me, I get up, I got a game plan, I got a roadmap, I attack, and by the end of the day, I look back and not judge whether I got the deal. And of course, we all think about it. But is that the way we're going to look back at our own results? No. Instead, what I'm doing is I'm looking to say, did I accomplish my day? Did I actually do the things I said I would do? How about, did I do the thing that was really hard that I kept avoiding? Did I finally get that done, or was I still procrastinating? Kind of back up to what we asked a little bit earlier. Did I protect my own standards and who I am and how I operate? Or did I stoop down lower to try to make something happen? Did I move my business forward today? Even if the result didn't show up, the deal, the money, the whatever, did I actually do something to move the business forward? See, when you define what a successful day is for you, all the noise, all the politics, all the bullshit, it just disappears. It doesn't even matter. And we talk about the fact that you are the most important person in your world. This is why you got to define what it means to have a successful day. So when you get up, you are operating to your beat. You're doing your thing. You're not worried about the outside noise, the politicking, the whatever. Your standards are high. The way you operate with your clients is great. You're setting the right experience. You're building the right mind share. You do it in a way that actually could get somebody else looking at you going, man, I want to be like him. I want to be like her. I want to run my business like that. So your action step here. Pick one daily win that shows you that you're still in control. Something that you can do even on a bad day. Make that your minimum standard. For me, it's my scheduling. 7 days a week, good day or bad, schedule. Because I know when I got that schedule going, I know that the things that need to be done, no matter how I feel, they're going to get done. I can keep them front and center, top of mind, conscious. I've got proper times when I'm going to do them. And that includes having fun, and that includes doing the work. And now I've got some structure to my world. I've got some actual pointed direction to what I'm doing in a day. Again, whether it's work or it's fun. That, for me, is one of my standards that I want to keep up with, because that's going to show me I'm still in control of everything that's going on, no matter how I'm feeling and no matter what kind of results are or are not coming. We all go through it. So for you, again, your action step is to pick one daily win that proves you're still in control. Look, if you want this episode to matter to you, which you should, then don't just agree with it. Don't just nod your head. Don't just listen to or hear it. But I want you to listen to it. I want you to do these things. Okay, do this. First, answer all 7 of those questions in writing. No filters. Be real with yourself. This is for you and just for you. Nobody else is going to see it. So seriously, be real with yourself. 2, circle the one that might have made you uncomfortable, where you think you might be slipping, or you're like, oh man, I got to be better there. Circle that one. And then 3, take one move, like now, this week, that's going to prove that you're not letting another year kind of just happen. Because it's time to take control. That's it. Like I said before, you don't need to go public and declare this on social. You don't have to post about it. You don't have to tell people, whatever. We're talking right now. This is just a real quiet reset that changes your direction. Because this is about you. This is for you. Look, the hype of the new year, done, gone, over, good. This right now is the part of the year that's going to tell the truth. And if you can keep your standards right now, when nobody's watching, your spring market will thank you. I'm David Greenspan, reminding you to build MindShare, because MindShare equals market share. Thank you for tuning in. I'll catch you next week.